What's going on, everybody? This is Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner. We finally have a game time set, and Saturday night, I'll tell you right now, cannot get here fast enough. Seahawks, obviously the big favorite in this one. Definitely not a team that you can overlook, though, in the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to dive into the injury report for both teams, as well as a matchup that I'm really keeping my eye on. Maybe get some early keys to victory, although a slightly updated keys to victory, because I did give you my initial thoughts on what the Seahawks needed to do to get this big dub. But I'll tell you right now, Lumen Field better be rocking on Saturday night. We know what it's like when the Seahawks are the number one seed in the NFC and how loud and proud the Seahawks fans can be. If you got a ticket to that game, you better make sure that you are showing up, getting loud and raucous. And if you don't have a ticket to that game, you better be here on Seahawks Today, because we are going to have the best watch party if you cannot be over in Seattle to be in attendance of. I know that some people like to say, hey, come on back over to Steve's crib. It's going pretty cool over there. It's not like how we do it here on Seahawks Today. Myself and Cyril, we have a good damn time. How fired up are you for Saturday night? Let me know down below in the comment section. 1 to 12 is our scale. Why? Because we are the 12s. If you're saying anything less than a 12, you better go over, check your pulse, call a doctor, whatever you got to do, because that tells me you are not alive. Make sure that you're fired up. Hit that 12 down below in the comment section. First, we are going to start with the injury news surrounding both teams, and I'll tell you right now, one team certainly has a much better injury report than the other team. Thank goodness our injury report is looking pretty damn sweet. We're going to start off with the good news that we learned early on from ESPN's Brady Henderson. He had a tweet that went out and had a little bit of a report on the good news around Charles Cross and Kobe Bryant. Both are expected to be back in action this week for the Seahawks. Now, we have seen Charles Cross back out on the practice field. Kobe Bryant was pretty damn close to being able to go against the 49ers, wasn't able to quite get there. Getting Cross back is going to be huge for the offensive line that is already really starting to gel and click. You saw how well they ran the football against the 49ers in Week 18. Now they get their best offensive lineman back. That is huge. And then on the defensive side of the field, getting Kobe Bryant back out there, running around, making havoc as best that he can, that is going to be huge for the Seahawks squad. Got to see him, though, get through a week of practice, so that way, hopefully, it's not one of those Julian Love situations where he's back at practice and then, just kidding, he's going on to IR. Some other big news that the Seahawks have when it comes to practice designations: Elijah Arroyo and Chaz Surrat have returned to practice for the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, Arroyo returning to practice last week, Chaz Surrat returning to practice for Seattle literally today. It actually ended up breaking just about an hour or so before we started filming this. What does that mean? It means that both Elijah Arroyo and Chaz Surrat have the opportunity to come back onto the field for the Seahawks, but they do have to be added to that active roster. Now, if Seattle does end up adding both of them back to the active roster, that means they would have one IR activation still available. That would more than likely go to running back George Holani. Getting Arroyo back will be huge for what the Seahawks want to do on the offensive side of the football. Obviously, when he's back on the field, teams have to assess more to what the Seahawks want to do in the passing game. That opens everything else up for everyone else up in that passing attack. Getting Surrat back now, that's going to add depth for you, but more importantly, it's going to add a key special teams player for you. That Surrat was on most of your special teams units, and that's where he had a lot of his big plays. A lot of great injury news for the Seahawks. That's why we needed to go out and earn that number one seed in the NFC so that we could get everyone back as healthy and as quickly as possible. I think that getting the one seed has allowed Seattle to return back to where they want to be, which is getting everybody rocking and rolling, clicking on all cylinders. Plus, the extra practices allows Mike McDonald, Clint Kubiak, Aiden Dirty, and the rest of that coaching staff to self-scout so they can look at themselves and understand what they needed to improve upon. Now, on the flip side, when you look at the 49ers injury report, aside from the Fred Warner news, it really hasn't been all that good. Starting off with Fred Warner, we will say this. He did return to practice today. He has been given the injury designation of able to practice since he's been out with that lower leg injury, since he obviously had that injury early in the middle of the year. Now, with Fred Warner, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to go in this matchup, but don't be shocked if we hear some rumors swirling as he gets closer and closer to game day. Ricky Pearsall still on that injury report, dealing with that PCL injury. Doesn't look good for him on him being able to return to action in this one. And if he does, how well will he be able to play against the Seattle Seahawks? Only time will tell. Obviously, George Kittle, his season is done, ended up having that Achilles tear, so he will not be a factor in this game, and the Seahawks can really turn their attention and focus to the rest of the talented wide receivers and tight ends on that 49ers team, let alone turn towards Christian McCaffrey. Who you got in this game? We just went through the injury report. Who do you feel like is going to come out on top? Is it going to be the Seattle Seahawks? Type C down below in the comment section. Is it going to be the San Francisco 49ers? Type SF down in the comment section. If you type SF, you're an insane person. The Seahawks are going to come away with a victory. Don't be crazy. Go type in SEA. Next, I want to know who's going to win this matchup between Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks, and Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. It feels like Saleh has been able to really slow down what Kubiak wants to do on the offensive side, yet at the same time, the offense, Clint Kubiak, able to run the ball in the last game, and that led to the difference in getting the victory over San Francisco. Now, when you look at the stats for both of the Seahawks two-headed monsters, a.k.a. this clear number 1 and 2 running back duo, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, they obviously had a slow start to the year, but really came on late, and you're starting to see that in the averages, both of them having 4+ yards per carry on the season. What I would say about these two is Seattle needs to run the damn ball. If Seattle is able to control the time of possession in this game, if they are able to lean on those two running backs, you are going to see another easy victory for Seattle. Despite all the mistakes that Seattle had in the red zone, despite all of the miscues, no big explosives in that last game against San Francisco, Seattle still dominated, and we won that game fairly easily despite what the score says. Seattle can do that again if they're able to run the football against Robert Saleh, not allow him and his defense to pin their ears back and really try and get pressure on Sam Darnold, because when they try and get pressure on Sam Darnold, and they are able to, that's where you see some of the mistakes come from Sammy D. Kubiak's got to win that matchup. We're going to dive into my keys to victory here in just a moment. But first, I got to brag a little bit. I got to let you know that I'm going to go on a vacation later on in the summer. I'm going to go home and I'm going to get to see some of my friends and family, but to be able to do so, I needed someone to help me with my budgets. And thank goodness I found Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has helped me track my subscriptions. We found out that I was actually double paying for a streaming service. Rocket Money helped me cancel that double payment, and I was able to save some extra money. Then what Rocket Money was able to help me do is create a budget for that vacation that I'm going to take in July. And so what Rocket Money has been able to help me do is set some spending goals for each month. Now I'm saving a little bit of extra money on the side that I'm able to put away into that budget that I have planned, so I can do all the fun, crazy, extravagant things that I want to do when I'm back at home visiting my friends and my family in the great state of Washington. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/SeahawksChat. That's rocketmoney.com/SeahawksChat. rocketmoney.com/SeahawksChat. All right, so we're getting into my keys to victory here in this matchup, and the very first one, of course, is no turnovers. The Seattle Seahawks have to make sure that they hold on to the football. When Seattle has won the turnover battle this season, they don't frickin' lose games. When Seattle has problems, it's because they continue to turn the ball over to opposing teams, and it's looking right at the number one culprit right now. Of course, that's Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has had a bugaboo this year, despite all the great things that he's doing. High completion percentage, lots of yards, great QBR. He turns the football over too much. If Sam Darnold is able to hold on to the football and not make the dumb mistake in this one, you are going to see a victory for the Seahawks. If Sam Darnold is smart with the football, if JSN double vice grips that thing, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, no turnovers for the Seahawks, I don't see a way that the 49ers get the victory here. They are not going to be able to put up enough points on this defense with just a standard number of possessions. They have to steal extra possessions to get more points, in my opinion. I don't know if you played this game 100 times and there were no turnovers. I don't know how many times the Seahawks would win, but I'll tell you right now, it's a very high number. Seattle cannot give extra plays to San Francisco. Next, Seattle has to limit the explosives when it comes to the 49ers. They cannot have any big plays on the offensive side of the football, or very few of them. What you saw with the 49ers taking on the Philadelphia Eagles were big plays led to scoring drives for San Fran. The Demarcus Robinson big catch early on in the game led to a touchdown. Juwan Jennings trick play, big play, throws it to Christian McCaffrey. That's how they get a big touchdown there. When you look at the San Francisco 49ers team, they are not good enough to drive the ball methodically down the field against the Seattle Seahawks. How do I know that? Because they weren't good enough to do it against the Philadelphia Eagles, and our defense is greater than what Philly's got going on their defense. San Francisco, they are too beat up, they are too hurt to consistently trust their wide receivers, their running backs, and their quarterback, Brock Purdy, to methodically move down the field. They have to get big plays to score. And if Seattle stops them from getting those big play explosives and forces them to methodically march down the field, this San Francisco 49ers offense will make mistakes. And that will force them to either punt the ball back to Seattle, turn the ball over on downs, or they'll have turnovers of their own. Force the 49ers to drive the ball down the length of the field. I think the Seahawks come away with a victory. Last thing Seattle has to do, and I mentioned it briefly in the first preview that we did. Now in this preview, I got to really dive into it, and that is get pressure on Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has shown that he can have a turnover bugaboo just as much as Sam Darnold has had. When you look at his stats through the regular season, what's an eye-popping number to you? It's the interception number. He has more interceptions than he has games played in the year of 2025. That is terrifying if you are a San Francisco 49ers fan. What the Seahawks can do is get pressure on Purdy, force him to make errant throws, just like he did against Philadelphia. He had 2 interceptions that he threw in that game, and both of them were to Quinyon Mitchell, where, yes, Quinyon Mitchell is making a good play on the ball. Brock Purdy's more at fault because of the way that he threw the football, giving Mitchell an opportunity to go and get that interception. Defenses win championships, and the Seahawks have the best defense in the entire National Football League. And they are an opportunistic bunch that isn't afraid to go and try and make a play on a ball if they know that they can make that play. If the Seahawks are able to use DeMarcus Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, and the rest of that crew on the interior to get pressure on Purdy so that way he feels like he has to throw the ball away as quickly as possible, you are going to see turnovers happen and go in favor of Seattle. Seattle wins the turnover battle. Seattle will win this game. I said that early, but it's most important here because if you get pressure on Purdy, he's more likely to chuck the ball around, and that's only going to be a pro for the Seahawks. What do you think the final score will be of this ball game? Let me know down below in the comment section. You know that I always ask you first. I asked Searle earlier on today, and he said Seahawks by 1 billion. Now, I don't know if I'm that confident, Searle, but I do feel pretty good about the score prediction that I have levied here on the screen. And I think the Seahawks come away with a victory 24-6. 49ers, they're going to get a couple of field goals in this one. They have a halfway decent kicker in Eddie Pinheiro. He's got a decent leg. He might be able to knock a couple through. But I think the Seahawks dominate this game just like they did the last. The difference is we do a much better job in the low red zone, making sure that we come away with 6 and not just with 3. Actually, hopefully, we come away with 7, not just 3. But I digress. Make sure that you hit that sub button here on the channel. We are trying to keep up with the 49ers report and pass them. 132 subscribers on Monday. That's pretty damn good Monday if you ask me. But it needs to be better because the 49ers report, well, they double us in subscribers. So sometimes they're able to get their videos in front of more people. Help us out. Share the video with your friends who love the Seattle Seahawks so that they can come in and hit that sub button. We want to beat the 49ers, not just on the field, but here at the home of Chat Sports. The bigger that we get this channel to, the more content that we're able to do, the more fun content that we're able to do. So hit that sub button. You're going to get daily free Seattle Seahawks content. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time.